Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night, October the 2nd. Always good to have you guys a part of the Prime Time program with us. We are going to talk about keys to a Titans turnaround. Now, do I think the Titans are capable of turning around their 2025 season? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that they're capable of getting their shit together in some form or fashion and looking like an actual NFL franchise at some point. They are going to have opportunities against the Arizona Cardinals, who are also not in a good space as a professional football team, but God knows the Texans weren't, nor the teams that they have played are not necessarily world beaters. The Broncos aren't any kind of the Broncos are probably a playoff caliber team, but they are not Super Bowl contenders. The Rams are the best team that they have faced. You could argue the Colts, but still there are opportunities in front of Tennessee against the Cardinals this week and the Raiders next week for them to try and capitalize on before they host the New England Patriots in week 7. So we're going to talk about 3 keys to a Titans turnaround, a little positivity, a little optimism. Zach Geringer on YouTube says, no keys to turn this around. And Bork says, is one of the keys an act of God? Oh, guys, come on. I can't do another football season of this. At least even last year, they were still in it in October, kind of. They were 1-3. This has felt particularly hopeless from the exterior. I understand on the internal side of things, the Titans can't afford to operate that way. God knows they can't message that way because things are already bad enough around them. But it is a situation where you have to, it's not like the Arizona Cardinals are an overwhelmingly good football team. Now, are they better than you? Probably, but there are still moments that you should be able to capitalize on at some point. Cam Ward's burner on YouTube says, to be 1-3, a man can dream. Yeah, well, at least let's see if they can't go 1-4 at this point in time. Hell, even 2-4. Can we live dangerously with this West Coast road trip or this Mountain Time road trip that we're getting ready to embark upon? I honestly wish we were just staying out west at this point, because to go to Arizona, then come back, then to go to Vegas and then come back seems a bit overwhelming. But we will see what becomes of the Tennessee Titans and if they can, buck up, no pun intended, and try and get themselves at least moving with some positive momentum in Cam Ward's rookie season. Because if they go 0-6, man, I guess there's no real difference between 0-6 and 0-4 other than we're just a little closer to the end of it, thank God. Because at this point, it's just an unending suffering week after week after week. So I'm going to try to be positive tonight. Don't back me off of this. I'm going to try my damnedest to be positive about 3 keys to a turnaround. Juan Don says the opposite of whatever they have planned is what they should do. Probably so. But again, we have actual things that we have to discuss the opportunity for them to capitalize on. We will see if that is something that they can take advantage of, and we'll talk about these things together. Thursday Night Football is obviously on tap. Speaking of the NFC West, the Niners and the Rams should be a fun game. Braden Mitchell Wall says, don't be positive, just keep it a buck. I really don't want you guys to overuse that just because Cam Ward said it one time on a podium. I feel like I'm seeing way too many tweets with keep it a buck just because some of you discovered what this phrase means. I feel like I was having to translate to all the old whites like Jim Wyatt and John Glennon and Terry McCormick, the rest of the Titans media corps, about what keep it a buck actually meant, because Glennon turned around on Monday to me and said, is that something like keep it 100? And I said, yes, John. It is a derivative. It is an evolved form of keep it 100, as you said, in the most Caucasian way possible. Either way, keys to a turnaround. We will try and work our way through that together. Ann says, I appreciate that you were the translator and not Tehran. I'm sure Tehran was asked at some point again. We cannot fix the old whites outright, but we can at least try and gently help them along, is where we are at this point. Philip Anderson says, Nashville SC at least brings a little bit of positivity in the city. Yes, to their credit, they won the U.S. Open Cup last night, which is awesome. We had Walker Zimmerman on the radio show today. If you missed that, you can go check it out. But let us talk about the opportunity for at least to stop the bleeding, right? How good would a win feel no matter how the season goes? You just need some kind of opportunity to stop stop drowning at every given point. And for Cam Ward, it just feels like it gets worse and worse and worse by the week. So for his sake, I hope that stops. Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Palatial Rising Estate on this Thursday, October the 2nd. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com or in Mount Juliet. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service. By TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, where you can get the best workout in Middle Tennessee, and you can get your first workout free at TrueMapFitness.com, conveniently located in downtown Nashville. And speaking of downtown Nashville, just south of downtown Nashville, in Wedgwood, Houston, is Simon Says Nashville, the premier men's clothing spot. Robert, I'm going to take Robert to get some actual clothes to make him look like a real human being for once instead of Crocs and Ravens t-shirts. Simon Says Nashville is here to save the day for you, for me, for Robert, for all involved. SimonSaysNashville.com for more information. All right.
Hold on. I'm only going to go if you will promise me that I will look like this guy in the bottom left. Am I going to look like that guy? That's the only way I'm going.
You're going to look like the guy that ate that guy.
You son of a bitch.
It's your fault for coming on the screen while I phrasing for popping on the screen. Well, I'm trying to get this damn show started. Either way, we are going to look at a couple of different things and the opportunities that this game may provide. Now, Cardinals are 2-2 at this point. They just lost most recently on Thursday Night Football to the Seattle Seahawks, but it was a close game. But for 3 quarters, basically, their offense looked worse than your offense. Until, of course, you got shut out by the Houston Texans and you had the worst performance that you have had in 6 years at this point in time. So it's not so easy to say, well, they look just as bad as the Titans. No, they don't, because they have Kyler Murray and they can put up 20 points at will. You putting up 20 points at will would feel like a miracle at this point in time. The Titans under Brian Callahan, certainly this year, feel like a team that are not, are the only team in the NFL where you could look around and say, well, no, not any given Sunday. They could keep it close. Every time I go to a game that the Titans play in anymore, I feel like they're going to lose. Now, maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I am too pessimistic on that, but God knows they haven't given us much evidence to the contrary, and that they've lost 10 consecutive dating back to last year and 6 straight to end last season is not going to inspire confidence in anybody. But what you do have is an opportunity against a team that's banged up, and your injury report is not stellar, but there are some things here that should at least provide a favorable matchup or two for the Tennessee Titans should they actually do their jobs. Again, they don't do their jobs very well or very frequently, but this is something that I came out of the Texans game looking around and being like, God, they are wretched at every spot. They are wretched. And it was too prisoner of the moment, because there are some things that they did well in that football game. Nobody wants to hear about what the team that just got shut out 26-0 did well in a football game when you get shut out 26-0 on the road against a divisional opponent. You do, though, have a defense that played really well until your offense just couldn't score any points, and then Snead gives up that back-breaking completion to Nico Collins, and the dam breaks open, and all of a sudden 20 points are being scored in the fourth quarter after you've held them down pretty successfully 6-0 for the bulk of that ball game. I thought, and Greg Cosell pointed this out, the defense played much better than you give them credit for, and Snead is an easy target, literally and figuratively, after the fact because of his pregame commentary. But on the whole, the Jalen Armour-Davis experiment, I thought, went pretty well. Jeff Simmons is playing high-level football. The Texans are not a good offensive line, and the Titans were able to get a couple of sacks on C.J. Stroud in this game. So for the most part, the defense did their job until the offense just could not get anything, literally anything going. And we understand that in the NFL, where your offense is defunct, because this team's offense has been defunct basically for 3.5 years, everything is hyper-analyzed, because an NFL team should be able to put up points with at least the ability to give their defense some wiggle room. Titans defense got no wiggle room in this game, and they broke down spectacularly. Troy says defense hasn't played well in the fourth quarter in all 4 games. Troy, did you not just listen to what I said? Your offense can't score. So, yes, of course, when things break down, they're going to snowball. They can't be expected. I understand what you're saying about a 4-quarter game, okay? But if you listen to what I just said, Troy, you can't score points. So NFL offenses, Matt Stafford, even Bo Nix, who's not any kind of a world beater, this version of Daniel Jones is or seems to be a bit of a world beater, and the Texans aren't that good. They're, in fact, one of the worst offenses in terms of success rate. But even they have an offense that can labor and struggle, but will score some level of points. Alex Henderson says, Buck, stop sugarcoating it. We asked, plain and simple. Alex, I have been accused of many things in my career, but I have never been accused of sugarcoating anything. Yes, I'm well aware that you're ass. I've covered your football team for going on 10 years. I have seen good football being played. I have not seen much of it lately. And we have talked about it every night in some form or fashion, whether it be on primetime, on a radio show, on Twitter when I do those post-game videos, whatever. Like, all I do is talk about shitty football and how shitty they are. There's not a moment where you could accuse me of sugarcoating it. These are simply the facts. If you cannot score points and your defense has literally zero margin for error, then yeah, any play that the defense gives up after the fact to another NFL offense is going to look like the worst thing in the world. But in fact, it's actually not. Your defense is going to give up plays. Every defense gives up plays. Pat Surtain gives up plays. Derek Stingley gives up plays. The best players in the NFL do not play their best ball for full 60-minute the best defenses in the NFL are not sustainable simply because they're the best defenses in the NFL. Their defense is sustainable because their offense gives them a little room to breathe. It's impossibly bad. It's impossibly bad. And the Titans, they were dead in the water at 6-0 because they couldn't do anything. It's crazy. It's crazy to say that about a professional football organization. And this one's not professional. It's minor league. At least it has been for the past year and now 4 games. But I just don't think that you cannot have an expectation of an NFL defense that they're just going to lock a team down for the entire, 0-0 is not possible, guys. I mean, it is, I suppose, but it's a nightmare situation. You can have the best defense in the world. You can have Jeff Simmons, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and whomever else coming off, TJ Watt coming off the edge on the same defense, and still it would be impossible to win football games if your offense can't score at all. So we don't know that the Titans will be any better in Arizona than they were in Houston last week, which is the problem. But we know that the Cardinals have problems of their own and that they will labor to score too, in much the same way that C.J. Stroud and the Texans did. That game was close. It was 6-0 for basically 3 quarters, maybe 2.5 quarters, depending on when that Snead completion or that completion over the top of Snead, I want to say, was late in the third. So let's just call it 3 quarters. It was a 6-0 ball game. That should not be an insurmountable lead. It was for Tennessee, who's currently averaging 12.4 points per game, and a good deal of that is field goals. So we get this. Keys to a turnaround, though. If there is a turnaround to be had in any way, shape, or form, even just to get a win, what can the Titans do? What would be the biggest thing that the Titans can do or are capable of doing to get a victory in Arizona that would help them at least turn the tide that way? Even if they win a game like they did last year against the Patriots and then they don't win anymore, or they win a game against the Texans and then they don't win anymore, right? It was Patriots, it was Dolphins, it was Texans last year. And at each opportunity when you looked to say, okay, can they build upon it? The answer to that was no. And then they lost 6 straight to end the rest of the regular season. I think that when you talk about what the Titans can do here, the Titans can find ways to combat what Kyler Murray can do against them, because right now Kyler Murray doesn't have a ground game. We're going to get into that here in just a second, right after you guys give me your biggest key to the Titans getting a win. I will remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service is what they offer you. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. They are there to serve you like they have served Middle Tennesseans for over 4 decades. I'm a proud customer of Two Rivers Ford. I love the experience out there. I love my 2022 Ford Explorer that I got from them. I have been eyeing many times when I go out there a new Ford Bronco. It is probably in my future at some point. It can be in yours too. TwoRiversFord.com for more information. All right, so can you combat Kyler Murray? Because the Cardinals, again, are not a great football team. They are certainly not a great offense. Just to look at their most recent performance, they really struggled against the Seahawks. The Seahawks are an above-average defense, certainly an above-average secondary, one would say. But when you look at some of the efficiency metrics for the Cardinals specifically, you will not find any kind of world beater. Now, what Kyler Murray has the ability to do is he can make plays outside of structure that cannot be accounted for because Kyler Murray can make plays. But if you're looking at let's just talk about DVOA, all right, as overall efficiency as an offense. The Cardinals are 19th at this point in time. In overall DVOA through 4 games, they are 19th. For reference, Tennessee is 32nd, so we understand that it's a struggle. And we'll talk more about Arizona's defense here in just a second because that's where the real challenge lies. But this is a bottom tier offense. They are just slightly below, in fact, the Houston Texans, who had struggles of their own. They are a better passing offense than they are a rushing offense if you're just looking in terms of DVOA. Arizona, let's look at where they rank in terms of that DVOA with the Titans are the worst passing defense in terms of DVOA. The Cardinals, let's see, and this is FTN Fantasy that I'm getting these numbers from, Aaron Schatz's new website or new venture. The Cardinals are 23rd. So, yes, you're the worst, but they're not that much better. It's still better than being the worst, but we get that. Now, in terms of rushing DVOA, they may actually be worse than Tennessee. Buffalo is the best at this point in time. Tennessee is better than Arizona at running the football, 27th in terms of efficiency to Arizona's 30th. So you know that you're not going to have to do too much, or you shouldn't have to do too much to take away the rushing attack of the Cardinals. But what you do have to stop is Kyler Murray's playmaking ability, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison Jr., who hasn't been great, but you don't want to be the team that Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray get it right against. This was Jeff Simmons talking about playing Kyler Murray this week. This was yesterday.
Well, you got to keep him in the pocket. He's a guy that, make a lot of plays with the legs. He want to throw on the run. If we could keep him in the keep him in the pocket, we could disrupt the middle of the pocket. All edge players have to play good. They have to make sure. Well, I'm not even going to say all edge players. Us up front got to play good. We got to be able to collapse the pocket. We have to be on the same page, rushing against a guy like this. I think last time, I can remember, he took my ankles from me one time. So it's like one of the things when you get him in space and if you let him get out the pocket, he could hurt the defense. He could throw in the ball. He throwing the ball off his back leg. Look like a baseball player, which we all know he is a baseball player. So I think at the end of the day, when we're on the same page, rushing together up front, we'll have some success against this guy. But the first thing is going to be able to stop the run. I did see one of their running back. I heard another running back I heard, but I'm sure they're going to still try to establish the run because a lot of things they do is off the run, play action pass. But when you get them into that passing situation, we got to keep them in the pocket.
Jeff, how did
That is Jeffrey Simmons in the locker room yesterday. And if you remember, they did play Kyler Murray in 2021. It's the only time that Jeff Simmons has played the Cardinals. And to Jeff's point, he, quote unquote, took my ankles from me because Kyler Murray can do that. But as an edge group, they have to be able to keep Kyler Murray contained. It's not necessarily about getting sacks, but you can't let him get outside the pocket because that's when he is the most dangerous. Richie says, Buck, Arizona will look like Super Bowl champions against us. Again, if you can't score, it's over. And this is the biggest problem that the Titans have. And we'll hear from Greg Cosell on what it is to play the Cardinals defense because that is the best version of the Cardinals is their defensive side of the ball right now. Their offense is dealing with injury, as Jeff Simmons pointed out, not just James Conner, their stud running back, but Trey Benson, their second running back, was placed on injured reserve this week. And so it is, I started this running back for the Cardinals last week against Koharski in the Titans Media League. DeMercado is either his first name or his last name. I think it's Evan DeMercado, I believe. Either way, yes, Evan DeMercado is currently the Cardinals starting running back, and he had 4 attempts for 8 yards and a receiving touchdown last week against Seattle. So you understand that Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Trey McBride are kind of a 3-man band at this point in time, but that defense is good enough to keep them in games. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Jacob Ray points out from that 2021 game, great game by Lawan that day. Yeah, Taylor gave up 3 sacks himself. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks total. It was a bit of an ass whipping. That was the Titans 2021 season opener at Nissan Stadium, and it was a bloodbath. Ked says the Titans ain't winning shit. Yeah, but I can't operate that way, Ked. I've got to go through a whole football season. Like I can't do 15 hours of radio Monday through Friday, 2 more hours of pregame, an hour of podcast with Cosell, 4 hours somewhere, maybe 3.5 hours of primetime every week during the football season, just say Titans ain't winning shit and then turn my microphone off. Like that's not really how this works. But anyway, I understand your sentiment because I also don't think they're winning shit. I wouldn't pick them to beat the Cardinals, but there are some opportunities here that if they are a professional football franchise, they should be able to at least take advantage of something or at least play a close game for God's sakes. That's the thing. They unravel so badly as an offense that the games end up getting away from them when the defense, I think, has kept them in games probably certainly more than the box score would indicate, but man, it's just a mess at this point in time. So what is the Cardinals defense, or what kind of challenges does the Cardinals defense pose? We'll hear from Greg Cosell on that fact here in just a second, right after I remind you that Simon Says Nashville is here to help you dress better. They are awesome. They are in fact having what's the proper term? I'm going to look it up so I can get it right. Because I am not, despite my best efforts, because I pay people to help me with this, I am not fashionable myself, but I do love Simon Says Nashville and the offerings that they have. They are doing a trunk show with John Varvatos tomorrow and Saturday from noon to 6 p.m. at Simon Says Nashville. A quarter century of cool is the theme. It is going to be a trunk show, explore exclusive looks. You can sip on some champagne and mark a milestone in dudes fashion tomorrow at Simon Says. Again, tomorrow and Saturday from noon to 6 p.m. I'm going to go tomorrow in the afternoon. I'm going to go check out all the cool things that they have. You won't find stuff like this anywhere else, certainly in Middle Tennessee. Hell, you won't even find it online. SimonSaysNashville.com, though, is where you can learn more about what they offer. You can go visit them in Wedgwood, Houston. All right. So as you look at the Cardinals defense is the superior unit to the Cardinals offense. The Cardinals offense is one of the league's worst. The defense, however, is good enough to give them opportunity after opportunity. Now, in terms of efficiency, overall efficiency, they are the 19th best defense. Again, just below Houston, but we understand that Houston is a good defense. Baltimore, ironically enough, for all their injuries, is 17th in terms of DVOA right now. And again, DVOA is just a measure of is simply a measure of efficiency overall. Now, if you look at Arizona, they are 17th in terms of DVOA right now. Tennessee, for what it's worth, the Titans have been 4th with their efficiency, which is kind of crazy to think about. But you understand that these things are just unraveling late. Like the best defenses in terms of overall efficiency have been Dallas. Well, this can't be right. Never mind. I think I've got my numbers reversed. I do have my numbers reversed. That's a terrible job out of me. I'm sorry. I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, that can't possibly be so. Okay, so Tennessee is 29th. That sounds more appropriate at this point in time. And Arizona is 16th in terms of their overall efficiency through 4 games. As a passing defense, they are much worse as a passing defense than they are at stopping the run. If you look at some of the advanced metrics there, Arizona, though, does pose you some different problems, some different looks. Bork says that doesn't sound real. You're right, because I had it reversed. So that's my mistake. Sorry, doing these things in real time, probably not the best way to do them. But that's why we have Greg Cosell, to make me sound smarter than I actually am.
Well, they do something that not many teams do, and it's really interesting. watching them. And they started it a couple of years ago, and you actually see it more in college football. You see a couple of teams here and there do it, but what they do is when they're in nickel, they take their nickel slot corner and along with the two safeties, and actually Jalen Thompson's been playing slot corner due to injury. Garrett Williams has been out. I don't know what his status is, if he's still out or because he's their slot corner when he's healthy. But they've been playing Jalen Thompson at slot corner, and the second-year player Taylor Demerson has been playing the other safety position with Buda Baker. But they take those three players, the slot corner and the two safeties, and they line them up in what we call a quarters structure, Buck, about 10 yards off the ball, and they're all lined up there. So they're not lined like the slot is not over the slot receiver. It's 10 yards off the ball. They're pretty much next to one another, maybe 5 yards apart from one another, all three at 10 yards off the ball in quarter structure. And Buda Baker, 99.9% of the time, is in the middle of that, okay? And you don't know, one of those players enters into the run game as a run defender. And more often than not, it's Buda, but you don't know. So when you run the ball for the offensive line, for who they should block, that player, they don't know who it is. And it's hard. It's just really, really difficult. And the other thing from that structure, you can go into any coverage concept. So, if it's a passing situation or you want to throw it and Cam is at the line of scrimmage and he sees it, he really doesn't know until the ball snapped exactly what it's going to be. And that makes it even harder because now he's got to figure that out on his drop. And again, tied into what we said at the beginning of this conversation, where everything for him is kind of getting sped up because, he's not real comfortable right now. That's going to make it even harder.
This is an aside, but I'm so impressed with Calais Campbell. No matter what age he is, Greg, he's just ridiculous still beyond the physical gifts that he has. He's still an impact player in that defense. I know he's not playing as many snaps as he used to, but I mean, my God, this guy.
You ever meet him in person?
Yes, he's terrifying.
I know. I met him at a Super Bowl years ago. It was actually in New Orleans at some event. He was there with his sister, who's also like 6 feet, but he's a great guy. I mean, besides the fact that he's huge, if you just talk to, he's a super guy. But I can't, how long he's played at this level, at that position, that's really impressive.
Yeah, I would describe him as a friendly monster.
So that is my conversation with Greg earlier this morning. Cardinals defense, certainly a tough out. All right, who you got between the Niners and the Rams? Rams are 8.5-point favorite against the banged up 49ers tonight, Thursday Night Football, getting ready to kick off. We're going to get you out in time for that. Give me your response in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. And we will talk at length together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch Arm Farm Fridays. I cannot wait to get in the gym tomorrow. I love working out, and I used to hate it, and that is in great part due to TrueMath Fitness. That sounds like a douchey thing to say, I know, but I promise you, it's just a cool community. It's a cool place to be. It is a really fun atmosphere. The coaching staff is excellent, and also they're going to help you accomplish your fitness goals no matter what your level of fitness is. That's what TrueMath strives to do. They've helped me tremendously. They can do the same for you. Your first workout is even free at TrueMathFitness.com for more details. All right, who you got between the Niners and the Rams? Rams, again, 8.5-point favorites. That seems like a huge line, but when you consider that Brock Purdy's not going to play, it's Mac Jones, who, by the way, is 2-0 in starts this year. But, Mac Jones still has some limitations. He's playing pretty good football to his credit and to Kyle Shanahan's credit. They are without George Kittle still. He's on injured reserve. They are without Brandon Ayuk. They've been without him the whole year long. The biggest thing to me is Nick Bosa is not going to play in this game because he is also at this point done for the season. And that is the most catastrophic injury of any that they've had, save the quarterback, because without a pass rush, obviously, against Matt Stafford, they just don't have juice. So are they going to try and blitz Matt Stafford tonight? Is Robert Saleh going to look to, pound his chest a little bit after Liam Cohen made him look a bit foolish in that game over the weekend between the Niners and the Jaguars? I don't know what the game plan for them is going to be like. I just know that I've seen Matt Stafford play many times now. whether he be for the Lions or the Rams in games against the Titans, and Matt Stafford is not an easy out. So without your best pass rusher, it'll be tough to get that guy off the field. We know this highly analytical stuff. If you can't generate a pass rush on Matt Stafford, he's going to kill you. It's like the Booger McFarland Booger Mobile meme, where he's just explaining the most obvious thing in the simplest of terms and treating it as high-level analysis, which is basically what I do for a living. But, I don't know that I would take the Rams to cover. 8.5 is big for any NFL team that's not the Titans. I mean, I would take any team basically minus 8.5 against the Titans at this point right now, at least based on the first month of the season. I know that's super disrespectful, but they do not deserve respect at this point in time. San Fran, I think, is at least capable of pushing them. Where is that game? Is that game in LA? I want to say it's a Rams home game, which, Niners fans travel really, really well. No, it's at San Francisco. Okay. That may provide some advantages there at this point, but I think that Robert just screaming in the side of the screen. Tell me.
Just kidding. I was. Well, good night, folks. It's been a great night of prime time. Looks like we're going to have an abrupt end, and we're going to hear from. Damn it! There's no good videos to play. Well, it's been fun.
Good night. Unbelievable.